Hey folks, Paula MacLean here, and I'm going to bring you a series of 4 video posts on one theme. And this is our first post. I'm going to talk to you about how to go from crazy busy to good busy. And I'm hoping that the 4 strategies in each of these posts is going to help you move from that kind of I don't even have enough time to go to the bathroom kind of busy to a different busy, which is I feel good busy. I feel like I can accomplish things. The first thing we're going to talk about then is that focus is really critical. That which we focus on grows stronger. Old phrase, but it really rings true. And when we think about being crazy busy, we think one of our challenges is that we have a hard time being focused on the things that are our priorities for this day, this week, this month. And as a result, we kind of seem to be the victim of the crush of the day, of all of the things that come at us when we're in leadership roles and not-for-profit organizations. So let me give you my first strategy, and that is, in order to manage your priorities, in order to be focused, there has to be a rule in your day that says no new shiny objects. Now, new shiny objects is just my way of saying there are things that distract us. And those shiny objects are the things that pull us off track, that move us away from our priorities, that get us involved in things that perhaps are not even important. And maybe they're things that we didn't anticipate and they are important. But you know what? They're going to be there in a few hours or a few days. And we are going to be able to manage those things in a constructive way. So very often when those new shiny objects, that being any task, activity, person, crisis, real or imagined, whenever those new shiny objects pop up, often they're distractors that we're not even aware of. We often just head off in that direction, and we're such spontaneous beings that we are kind of the victims of our own spontaneity. And as a result, it becomes almost unconscious and automatic behavior that when we go into our workday, wherever that workday is and you're not for profit, that in fact we are heading off in directions that are not of our own plan or design. Often as you're getting to your work environment, you're saying to yourself, I have this to do, this to do, this to do. These are my priorities. And sometimes you barely have your coat off before somebody is jumping at you with, did you see my email? Or we have a meeting that we didn't anticipate. And, you know, some of those things, they get portrayed as crisis when in fact they're just another thing. They're a new shiny object. And they're probably in many cases less deserving of your time and energy and attention than many of the other things that are already on your to-do list, already were part of your plan for your day. So we get accustomed and we become very practiced at being not focused, not kind of being stronger and focused on the things that are real priorities, but on those new shiny objects. And we expect every day to kind of be, rather than a relatively organized, planned way of going about the things that are our priorities, we become so spontaneous and so expecting of a long list of new shiny objects that we just tend to say, I'm going to go with those because that's my day. And when we get home at the end of the day, we wonder why we're so exhausted. And all the people in our lives, when they ask us things like, how did your day go? Well, you know what? And that often we tell them a story about how many new shiny objects we chased. And the problem with that is, of course, is that we then feel like we're further behind. We feel like our priorities for the day didn't get met, that we don't feel like we honored the things and the people and the tasks that we had originally planned on being accomplished. So your task for the next week is to really be focused on what are those new shiny objects for you, and to be aware that if we do one thing at a time, that we are going to be served better off by those things. So if the new shiny object is important, then come back to it. It will be there, because if it's things that are important tend to hang around for hours and days and weeks and months. And so be aware that when the new shiny object appears to you, sometimes they just disappear almost as quickly as they arrived. And sometimes they are important and we'll come back to them at another moment in time. Now, there are some new shiny objects that are actually crisis, that are legitimately in need of your immediate time and attention. So one of the keys here is that you learn to manage your crazy busy into good busy by identifying where are the crises that I really need to respond to. But after every single crisis, I ask you to reflect and say, were there 1, 2, or 3 things that we could have done collectively or individually to be able to prevent that crisis from occurring? Because that crisis that appeared as a legitimate new shiny object that you had to chase, you would have been not doing your job if you didn't, in fact, was probably preventable days or weeks or months before. So one of the things we need to make sure that we are doing is that we are practicing getting one thing done, and when a thing that is a legitimate crisis grabs onto us, that we do a little bit of post-crisis analysis and say, were there some things that we could have been doing that would have changed that part of my day, that would have changed that part of the day for many other people probably as well. Now, one of the things is then we need to understand that managing crazy busy is not about getting so much more things done on your to-do list. It is actually about managing the things that slow you down. Every new shiny object is a distraction. It represents a loss of time, a loss of focus, a loss of energy. And so we are putting very often the things that matter most are put behind as less important than the things that matter least by chasing the new shiny objects. So this isn't about packing more into your to-do list and getting more done. It's about making sure that we understand what we shouldn't chase and realize that that's often unconscious behavior for us. We just go there because that's what we've practiced, and we haven't practiced focus on the things that matter most. I'm Paula MacLean, and I'm your leadership coach. And if you have not signed up for my 3 free videos, please go to 3freevideos.learningforleaders.ca. There's almost 90 minutes of really awesome free training for supervisors and managers of not-for-profit organizations. So that's a really awesome opportunity. And if you've done the 3 videos and you're finished those, please go to learningforleaders.ca and take a look on that page for the full-blown course called Mastering the Basics. And I'll be back with the second strategy for managing crazy busy and turning it into good busy next week. All the best.